So for today's session, we are covering customer success at the center, cross-functional programs that support customer success as an outcome. So we're going to dive right in without further ado. We're 8 minutes in, got plenty to cover, so let's get started. So I hope, I always say I don't want to make assumptions, right? But I do hope that everyone realizes that every single function in your organization supports the success of our customers, whether it be indirectly or directly. Now, I know some of the go-to-market teams like marketing and sales and customer success, those are easy to understand the impact that we have directly to our customers. And for other parts of the organization, it might not be so obvious. And again, at the end of the day, it is our job to help make sure that everyone understands the role that they play in helping this be a realization. So if you are not operating with this mindset, and if there are teams in your organization today that do not believe that they are responsible and accountable for driving success as an outcome, this is where we need to have this conversation and start bringing them into the fold. Now, we can sit here and talk about every single function, and you're going to see I left off finance and I left off all these other ones. And yes, every single function in your business does contribute. But for today's conversation, we're going to focus on four very common parts of the business that I think every company probably has, or some iteration of it. One starting with marketing, then sales, product, and technical support. So when we think about product, right, as it supports the customer, many of you may have marketing teams, and perhaps at the stage your company is in, maybe they're not supporting customer marketing today, right? But the idea here is that your marketing teams should be leaning into customer marketing as well as driving top of funnel leads for your sales team. And so when I think about marketing's contributions to this, right, it's very easy for me to see the direct correlation as marketing is helping us market additional products and new innovation to our customers. They're helping facilitate community and building advocates in our programs, right, like across our customer base. And hopefully they're supporting some industry education as well, right? It's not just about your product, but it's the thought leadership that we bring. So I like to think about programs like this here at ClientSuccess, our bootcamp series. It's more than just our product, right? It's about the education enablement of the entire industry and sharing our thought leadership and expertise. So when I think about that, that has marketing written all over it. Now, the next one is sales. Again, super obvious because they wouldn't be customers if they didn't come through that sales process, right? But your sales team should be there to help facilitate and build trust and relationships. They should be there helping us figure out who our champions are and really help support customer advocacy as a whole over the customer's journey. Next, again, maybe super obvious for most, product. Right? You wouldn't have a company for many of you unless you're a services organization, but if you're a SaaS company, probably many of you are, your product is key. At the end of the day, if we don't have products, our customers, what are they buying, right? So we know that there is a direct correlation between our customers' success and our product. And when we think about product and that evolution of it, your product is designing solutions that best meet the needs of your customers, right? They're designing for the future. They're thinking about innovation as it supports an industry and its growth and its future. And so that all directly impacts our customers. And honestly, for most of our organizations, I'd like to think that your voice of the customer is actually what's feeding your product innovation and your roadmap. And lastly is technical support. Now, I did call this out today because I do want to continue to emphasize that technical support is not customer success. And if your customer success managers today are managing technical support, that is a separate conversation, but we should be breaking that out because the two functions, their roles and the value that they bring are inherently very different. And so we're going to talk about ways that we can design programs to help technical support, obviously bring customers to the center. Now, when we think about your support organizations, they ensure that your customers understand how to best leverage the technology, right, to drive those outcomes. It's going to be very feature function focused. It's going to be around how do they use the product strategically to do what they need it to do. It might be around questions, maybe the product isn't behaving as it should, right? But your support team is there to help really with that technical aspect of that partnership. And so these are four key teams that help drive our success with the customer. Now, at the end of the day, obviously customer success is driving a big part of this, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, customer success teams, as I just mentioned, right, we are the facilitators, right? I always like to think that we are like the kind of the orchestrator for success for our customers, right? We facilitate that successful execution of all the appropriate programs. And I say appropriate programs because you're going to see me talk about a lot of different maybe interesting initiatives, maybe some that you've already thought of, maybe they're not being orchestrated the way that I might talk about them today. But I say appropriate programs because despite what we'll cover, not all of those might be relevant or applicable to your business today. And so it's always important to make sure that we are focusing on what makes sense for our business, given our stage, our product, our customers, right? There's so many special things that we need to consider, unique criteria. And I always say this is why customer success is not a one-size-fits-all model. It's not even a one-size-fits-most, because there's so many things that make our companies so unique that, not that it's the first time anyone's ever heard of these things or done it, or these are unique challenges necessarily, but all of those components determine how and why we would do the things that we do in support of our customer base. So hopefully I'm designing a visual for you that looks like this, but in your head, right? Customer success is at the core of this. If you want marketing to support your customers, if you want sales to support your customers, if you want product and technical support to support your customers, it is our responsibility to help orchestrate these initiatives, because at the end of the day, no one knows our customers better than we do. And you'll never hear me say that customer success owns the customer, because I don't believe that to be true. I think that's where like gatekeeping and like friction behind these collaborations, it gets a little tough. So I always say that as a company, we own the customer, but customer success is responsible for this proactive orchestration across all of these teams. And that's what we're going to dig into today. So what I'm going to give you is a couple real world examples of how we've designed programs originating from customer success, but how we pull in these cross-functional teams and help them understand how they benefit from these programs, but more importantly, how our customers do. Now, I always say it's important for us to design initiatives that are mutually beneficial. When I think of mutually beneficial, obviously everything we're doing here is in support of our customers. But it is really hard to get buy-in from your cross-functional teams if they don't clearly understand the value to them. Right? It's hard to get a salesperson's attention to say, hey, I need you to go do X, Y, and Z, if they don't understand how it benefits them, how maybe it helps them close business, or how it's going to help them generate more pipeline. When you're able to clearly articulate the value to each of these individuals, they're going to be bought in, right? It's the same thing we think about when we design change management for our customers. Right? Our customer has to understand the benefit to them in order to be really bought in, right? To change their behaviors. And that's what we're doing here. We're trying to change behaviors, because at the end of the day, every team that I highlighted there, every function, they have a laundry list of their own priorities, things that they are focused on, things that are taking their attention, that warrant their attention. And so to ask for time, to ask for resources, has to come with an explanation of why. And so as you're thinking about these types of programs or different programs that you might be designing in your organization, I'm going to give you a little context of how we might want to position this. So first, I would say each program, regardless if it's any of the ones that we'll cover today or some unique things that you're designing because it makes sense for your business, but each program should serve the needs of the cross-functional team and the customer. Right? There's got to be a three-pronged approach here. So when I think about it, right, like I've got kind of like three little anchors. It has to benefit the customer, of course, and we should always be thinking that at the forefront. Obviously, if it's benefiting the customer, hopefully it's in support of the customer success organization. And the third team that should be benefiting from this is the team that we're pulling into that cross-functional initiative. So you have to be able to clearly articulate the value for all functions. The second thing is that these should be a significant burden to the team you're working with. And that's where I think we kind of create points of friction, or things don't go as planned, or programs fail, is because it becomes a heavy burden to other functions. So what we're going to talk about today is how do we design things that can feel lightweight when they originate from the customer success team, so that way we're benefiting everybody, but we're not being an extended burden. Because when we're drawing on resources, whether that be time or people or money, it becomes a very heavy ask. And what I want to be able to do with you all today is explore what are ways that we can facilitate this collaboration and this buy-in without getting a no. Right? It's almost like we're here for a yes. How are we going to be able to do that? So the programs that we're going to talk through today originate with customer success in the hopes that we're generating yeses across the business. And lastly, if you've attended any of my boot camps, I'm pretty certain that almost all of the things I talk about end with you have to be able to measure it. Right? If you do not have an understanding of clear, measurable KPIs that are going to help each party quantify the impact, it's going to fall short. because how you get buy-in is when people can understand and articulate that impact, that change, right? If somebody tells me like, hey, Kristi, we're going to do this and it's going to save you 100 hours a month, that would be amazing. But if I don't actually see that impact, it's going to be hard for me to stay bought in, right? It's why we have goals. It's why we do things like OKRs. So it's just really critical that you have a way to measure it. And it has to be something you can quantify. So figure out what the appropriate KPIs are and make sure that the KPIs benefit all of the teams, right? And obviously, especially tied back to our customer. So those are the three things. As we're thinking through some of the things I'll talk about today, I want you to keep these three things in the back of your mind, right? Will this serve the needs of all of the people involved? Can we confirm that this is going to be a low calorie effort, right? Not a heavy burden to any of the teams that we're asking to participate? And do we have a way to measure it? If we have a no to any of those, guys, we got to go back to the drawing board. So I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind as we talk about some of the initiatives today. So anytime I want to embark on something new, and I will say, I do have creative liberties at ClientSuccess to test all of my crazy ideas. But I always do originate by making sure that I'm answering some questions first, whether that be to my leadership team, right, in this case, my CEO, or to my team, because I'm asking them to do something different than they've done before. So let's start by asking ourselves a few questions. One, is this initiative that aligns with our current business goals? It is very easy to get excited. I don't know about you guys, but I hear a great idea and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm going to go implement this tomorrow. This is wonderful. I'm running with it. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't align with what our business is focused on and our priorities, that misalignment is going to cause that project or program to not be as successful as it could be otherwise. So as we're thinking about these things, make sure that there is clear alignment. Now, I'm also going to preface this, guys. If you do not know what your company's or your business goals or objectives are, start there. Go ask some questions internally, because you need to be very clear on what the business is focused on to ensure that the work that we do day in and day out is having meaningful impact. So that is your first thing, right? Does this initiative that I want to go and run with, does it align with our business goals? The second thing is, will taking on this project or program, will it change customer results? Because again, at the end of the day, why are we doing these things if it's not going to enhance the experience, drive outcomes, ultimately, hopefully support retention, growth, and advocacy? Because I'm pretty certain all of us are focused on those three outcomes, right? Even though they're lagging indicators, those are the three things we're focused on. So guys, at the end of the day, if you're doing things that do not support that as a lagging indicator or a lagging outcome, why are we doing it? Right? Do not do it because it's super cool, because Kristi got excited. I get very easily excited over all kinds of things, and they're not always great ideas, I promise you. And the third thing I will challenge you all to ask is, does the CS team have the skill and will to lead this initiative? Now, this is an interesting one. You'll notice I have some very specific language that I've seeded in here very strategically. First is the skill, right? At the end of the day, I've said that the programs that we're going to review today should be orchestrated by the customer success organization. So do you have folks in the business that can facilitate this, right? Do they have the skills to do it? The next is there will to do it? I will tell you, as a leader, trying to get people to do things that they do not want to do for a multitude of reasons is very challenging, right? And sometimes this requires us to be, again, more persuasive, right? Provide clarity around why we're doing it to get that will. But at the end of the day, you do need the skill and will to drive this initiative. So those are the three things in this framework of the things we're going to talk about today. Those are the three questions I'm going to ask myself before starting anything. And so again, I will encourage you to, again, think through the three things that I listed before, and then start by asking yourselves these very questions. If you've got a no to any of these, guys, I need you to pause, right? Pause. Don't move forward. Pause for a minute and think about why that is. And then what do we need to do to change all of these to a yes? Because without a yes in all three of these buckets, we're going to have an uphill battle. And again, at the end of the day, we're not trying to take on more burden or work to ourselves, right? We're trying to do something very positive for our customers, the business, and more importantly, try to drive and foster that cross-functional collaboration. So that said, we're going to dive into some programs. So I'm not going to present 100 slides on each of these, guys, or else I would have just been in like design analysis paralysis on a long weekend. So we're going to sit on these slides for a minute. I'm going to talk through these programs to give some context. So hopefully you could bear with me on a boring visual for more than a minute. So the first one I want to tackle is, what are some of the ways, or how can CS partner with the marketing team? Now, the first thing is that we love success stories. And let's talk about program facilitation around this. Now, I don't mean case studies. Case studies are a little bit different. I think anybody who's been around long enough and you've watched the evolution of how marketing tells stories about customers who have been successful, there is this shift from a case study, which feels more formulaic and more general in the sense that here's what we believe our product can do, and here's how one particular customer did it, and here's some outcomes, and yay, everyone's excited. To this shift towards, let's talk about the customer, right? What were they trying to solve in their business? And it's really through the storytelling lens that I think really has shifted this. But your customers can have such wonderful successes that almost have nothing to do with how you've marketed your product. Now, I don't know about any of you. If you've been in customer success long enough, you have probably witnessed your customers use your product in ways that probably blow your mind. Now, I don't know about you. I do all the time. I watch my customers use our solution and I sit back and I'm like, wow, okay, I never thought about that. And that's the reality, right? Our customers are going to challenge our products to do really cool and innovative things. I think that's where the shift comes in, is we're no longer focused on our customers behaving the way that we think they should behave, but rather focus on their success in whatever way, shape, or form that comes. And it's that creative mindset that allows us to be more open about how our customers get there. And that storytelling opens up endless possibilities for other prospects. And that's why that's valuable to marketing. So when I think about success story programs and how and why CS can be the originator of this, yes, in a lot of companies, if you are a very large company or you've got a very well-designed and built-out marketing team, maybe marketing is leading the charge here, in which case, good for you. But I know that a lot of us are working in organizations where, again, marketing is really focused on top of funnel, right? They are here to drive leads that convert to sales. That's what they're focused on. And that's okay, because that's driving the business. So if customer success is not necessarily getting the support from a customer marketing standpoint, success story programs are really a great way to start to broker the conversation between success and marketing. So for example, the way that we're doing this at ClientSuccess today, and the way that I've done this in a lot of organizations I've been a part of, is as we track and document our customers' goals, which again, if you're not doing that, you should all be doing that. So shame on us if we don't know our customers' goals. If you're tracking your customers' goals and your customer achieves a meaningful result, it does not mean that they achieved their goal in its entirety, but a meaningful result, some impact that says what we're doing is driving success. It is driving change in behavior, in outcomes. Your customer success team is seeing that. Now, if you were to easily document that in any of the tools or systems that you're using, and don't forget, I love Excel. So even if you do not have fancy programs or products like ClientSuccess, you can easily do this by keeping track of this in your Excel or Google Sheet, right? If you have a customer and you're saying, hey, this customer achieved this result, and here's how they did it in our product, and here's the result, and here's how it changed their business, whether that be it changed their resources, their time, revenue, right? We have all of these KPIs we're tracking. Now, if you take that tracker, and as the customer success team, you're sharing that visibility with your marketing team, you're feeding this as a pipeline back to them. You're now facilitating this program of a flow of information. Now, that obviously benefits marketing, because at the end of the day, marketing lives for this stuff, right? They want to go and blast these stories out in campaigns and emails. They want to put it all over your website. They want to highlight your customers as heroes, even the people that are doing it, not just the logos. And so when you can show the marketing team that your organization is being proactive and not only identifying these, but now bringing it full circle so that they can use it, that's gold. Now, in many cases, you can hand off to marketing, right? I will say I've seen a lot of marketing teams lean in when they see this and they're like, this is great, we'll take it from here. Do we have your permission, or can you facilitate an introduction to this customer so that we can reach out and have that dialogue with them to capture this story? That's awesome. In some companies, I've also seen where CS does a little bit of that early discovery with the customer. Maybe it's one, getting their permission. Can we use your story to highlight with our marketing organization? The second might be, hey, you know what? We've got a framework for discovery. So like, let's talk more about what your challenge was. How did you use the product to do it? what were some of those early results that we saw, and maybe customer success is packaging up a framework of that story to then pass over to marketing. So you can decide where each team starts and stops, but the real value here is saying that customer success is the proactive orchestrator of identifying these successes, so that way they can send it over to marketing to start to capture that. So folks love that. The next thing is event speakers. Now, I use events as kind of a broad term because it could be a webinar, could be a podcast, it could be, honestly, it could be an article too. But let's just use events as the framework there. If you've got an opportunity to have your customers in the spotlight, talking about your product, the partnership, their successes, how partnering with you has changed their business, right? Articulating that in such a way that actually is helping showcase them as ambassadors and advocates, you're also feeding new opportunities for marketing. Now, I don't know how many of you have an annual event, right? Many of you get to a stage where you're hosting annual events for your customers, or maybe it's broad, it's for customers and prospects. But one of the trickiest things for marketing is figuring out who is going to speak, right? Where are we going to find the people that have the right stories, who are comfortable with this, that also are opting in, that like this stuff? Because I will tell you, the worst thing is if customer success gives marketing a laundry list of people and none of those people either have the permission to speak or that level of comfort, right? Because not everyone is comfortable getting up in front of everybody and talking, right? That's real. So if customer success can do some early identification when we know that we're having great traction with a customer, where we're seeing them creatively use our solution, even just being strong adopters of that, if they have vocalized that they are advocates for the partnership, start to keep track of this. So one of the things that we've done is we've created custom fields. Super easy. Is this customer an advocate? Check. And then we have a drop-down list, a multi-select pick list that says, what are the types of programs or initiatives that this particular customer is interested in participating in? Now, I've got customers who are willing to be references or referrals, willing to do an article. If I asked them to speak, they would have a heart attack. I've got others that don't want to do anything in writing, and they're like, put me on a stage all day. If you have customer success teams seeking this out and keeping track of it so that it is accurate and current in all of your trackers, this facilitates an ease of flow when marketing does have these types of opportunities. Now, again, at the end of the day, building advocates isn't just to the benefit of the business and sales. And I need everyone to internalize that too. Building advocates actually can help with an individual's personal brand. I talk about my story a lot when I talk about being an advocate for a solution that I used for many years and how well it served me professionally, because being an advocate for them actually helped build my brand and build my profile in my community. So there are real benefits to the individuals when you give them these opportunities. So understand where this is mutually beneficial and start to track this so you can share it back with your marketing organization. The next tier here is your brand ambassador initiatives. If you can start to figure out, again, who those advocates are and start to track those, as I mentioned, we have a custom field that says, yes, this customer is an advocate of ours and they want to be part of a brand ambassador initiative, right? We have marketing teams who have actually designed holistic programs for these people. Now, these aren't the one-off individuals who are like, yes, I want to speak at an event, or yes, I will co-author an article, or yes, I'm happy to be a referral. But the individuals who are such strong partners of yours that you can actually bring them into an ambassador program. This way you're doing kind of spotlights on them as professionals. Maybe you're doing all kinds of events and campaigns. We have seen marketing teams do full court press on individuals who become part of this ambassador program. But again, at the end of the day, it starts with customer success. Now, in order for you to get to a place where folks will be ambassadors and advocates, you have to get them to be successful. And so customer success is the original pipeline for all of this, because we can't get to Z without going through that alphabet. So we need customer success teams to actually do their jobs, do it well, track their goals, deliver results, so we can then quickly identify who these folks are and facilitate marketing, building a full-blown program around this. So what I'm trying to give you guys here is some examples of how customer success can be the facilitators and early designers of these programs to then help pass off to marketing, right? It's kind of like this softball to them. And if you went to any marketing team and said, hey, if our customer success team helped you find customer success stories, if we helped you find speakers for all of the wonderful events that we're putting on, if we helped you design a very well thought out ambassador program, Would that benefit your initiatives? Would you get value from that? And I tell you, I'd been in marketing for 10 years. There is no world that I ever lived in when I was in marketing that if someone came to me and said, I'm going to spoon feed you these things, that I wouldn't be super excited. So today, if you have a marketing organization who is not doing much by the way of supporting customer marketing, if you start by saying, these are 3 programs, or let's start with 1, right? Baby steps, figure out which one of these makes the most sense for your business and start to go back to marketing and say, here's what we can do to support you. And obviously in turn, it will support us. Be able to articulate the value to them, the value to our customers, the value to the customer success team. Talk about how the program will be easily facilitated for them to drive value. Everyone will be bought in. For me, the way that I viewed marketing is because marketing is so heavily focused on the KPIs tied to sales, there are great ways to then start to attribute how these programs are facilitating that, further lead gen, whether it's traffic to websites, lead forms that are filled out, folks that attended these events and saw value, right? You're generating leads from that. Being able to even put on an event, right? I use the example of a webinar, for example. Find a customer who wants to tell their story, be a part of a webinar, or you're going to do a product demo and talk about how one customer is using it. I've seen so many creative content use cases that these don't need to be limited by a customer telling their story. It could also be validating product. So the idea here, just be super, super creative with how you can lean in and facilitate the identification of these opportunities to then feed to the marketing team. I guarantee you, you'll have collaboration like you never had before. So let's talk about the sales team. Your sales team, they're obviously very busy selling. And while they do love to hear about the successes that your customers are having, because that obviously is in part kind of justifying the work that they've done early on, there are certain programs that CS can lead that actually helps you both very clearly, honestly. So one of these is the referral program. So I don't know about you, but for as long as I've been in customer success, I have always had sales teams, usually the day before the end of the month or the end of the quarter, say, I've got a bunch of prospects, they're looking to close, they want to speak to a customer. And then CS has to stop what they're doing, go through their book of business, figure out who can have that conversation, who meets the criteria, because usually sales has some very specific requests, right? A specific industry, size, program, product that they're using, all of these things. So then you have to go do all this, you have to stop what you're doing, do all this research, find those folks, reach out to the customer, ask them if they're willing to do it, facilitate intro with sales. Feels like a messy process, right? And everyone is kind of stopping what they are doing to facilitate that. Now, referral programs are super powerful. And in fact, if you are or are not doing them today, I would just tell you should be thinking about this, but tracking it and the impact it has on close rates is one of my favorite things. Last week, if you joined the webinar, we talked about bringing customer success into the sales process, which is why I didn't list it here, because we covered that in depth last week. That would also be a very strategic program that you can launch to support sales. But referrals is a huge one. And so I love to also see what is the close rate associated with prospects who spoke with a customer versus those who did not, right? So this is a very interesting one for me because we want to understand also, my customers want to know what their close rate is, right? If they get on a call with a prospect, I get them telling me all the time, well, hey, whatever happened to that prospect I spoke to? Did they end up buying? Right? So we could talk about what the entire closed loop process would need to be, but creating a referral program where the customer success team is proactive in one, identifying which customers are willing and able to be a referral or reference, right? So let's talk about the referral program and the reference programs because they seem similar, but they are different. Your referral programs, these are customers today that are willing to refer other peers, colleagues to your product, right? So they're kind of filling that pipeline. They're telling their friends, hey, oh, you're looking for a solution? I'm actually using ClientSuccess. It's been great. Here's how it helps me. If you're interested, here, I'll put you in touch with the salesperson, or, go fill out this lead on their website and someone will be in touch with you. Those referral programs, if well orchestrated, can have great impact on sales, right? One, the referral program is actually feeding the pipeline. So sales loves that because now you're not relying on SDRs, you're not relying on marketing. This is somebody who's had success telling their buddy to go purchase this product. Like, you don't get a stronger pipeline than that. So sales teams love referral programs. Now, again, you have to find a way to make referral programs beneficial to your customers as well. So I've seen a ton of ways that companies have done this. One, they'll have like a store, right? So you refer a prospect, every referral gets you a certain number of points. Points can then purchase you things from let's say like a virtual store, right? So you can go get swag or you can go get gift cards. I've seen all kinds of things like that, which are super compelling for folks. There's other ways though too, right? To incentivize them. I've seen folks who have done referrals who've gotten a free month of product or free licenses, things like that. So find ways that will benefit your customers. But at the end of the day, remember, referral programs have to be beneficial to everybody involved. We cannot expect our customers to just serve as referrals and feed our pipeline without something that benefits them. So figure out what the appropriate way is to do that. Now, obviously, if you're tracking this, I've seen folks go full bore on referral programs, right? Where there's a referral portal, you sign up, you get your own affiliate link, you send that link out. If somebody comes in through your link, that's how they're tracking it. Awesome. I've also seen people do it with Excel. So I'm just saying, you don't need to have special tech to do this. You can be doing this in Excel. You can keep track. Hey, customer A referred, prospect B, send them something, send them a gift card, send them a hoodie, send them a Yeti, whatever. So you can do this very easily, very basic. You can also create a very well thought out referral program. References are a little different. So referrals are feeding your pipeline. References are helping close that pipeline. So your references, these are the customers that you have today who are willing and able to get on a call. So both of these are things that I love to track. Again, it is awesome to understand customer success's impact on revenue. Again, we talked about this last week when we talked about bringing customer success into the sales process. CS teams all the time are being tasked with prove your value, tie yourself to revenue. I always say the best way to do that is day one dollars. If I can show my contributions to deals that are coming in, everyone loves that. Everyone loves that. That's why I said, if you're bringing customer success into the sales process and it closes, track it, you're generating revenue. If you've got customers as a CSM that are serving as references, track it, you're driving revenue. If you've got customers who are referring your product, track it, you're driving revenue. Those are really, really powerful programs, guys. And those are easy ways for us as teams to say, look at all the revenue that we influenced this month, this quarter, this year. Track that as your own personal number. One day, you'll all be looking for jobs. And when we are looking for jobs, people, recruiters, they love to see revenue impact. That is such a cool way to show your attribution, not just through retention and growth. Those are super obvious and great. Get creative with the dollars that you're showing, right? I generated X amount in closes because of my involvement in the sales process. Here is my influenced close rate. Those are powerful statistics, guys. Get behind it. The last one I have here is CS qualified leads. If you are a customer success organization today that is not closing new dollars, right? So you are not responsible for upsells, expansions, cross sells. If you're not being a part of that process, influenced or not, this is a great way to do that. So if you're not the closer, being able to facilitate and track leads that are coming from your team to the sales team or to account management teams. Doesn't have to be new logo sales. It could be account managers who are working on this. This is another great way that we can partner with them. Your sales teams, most of them, they're hunters, right? If you're serving this up to new logo teams, they're hunters, they're not farmers. Many of them don't have the bandwidth to go and do what we all hope that they will organically. So if you can facilitate a program that, again, is initiated by customer success, where we can start to funnel up all of these leads that are qualified, again, not just, hey, I had a great conversation, salesperson, go chat and see if it's real. You have to qualify it, which means you have to learn how to qualify leads, guys. So I will tell you that should probably be a different boot camp altogether, but create a program where you identifying which of your customers have the potential to purchase a new product, expand the product they have, maybe new use cases, sell into another team who could also be the beneficiary of your product, identify those leads, qualify them, and then surface them to your sales organization. Again, whether that be new logo sales or account management. By doing this is another great way for us to also correlate to revenue, right? Again, going back to this point about like, show me day $1, like be able to talk about the revenue that you've influenced in your organization. How many of your CS qualified leads closed? How much revenue was attached to those leads? If you're able to then facilitate good, qualified, strong leads to the sales team, because that's the way your organization is designed, you're now going to start to, again, foster stronger collaboration here and get better buy-in. This benefits your customers. If you are somebody who doesn't understand how helping your customers grow with your product, which might mean spending more money, if you do not understand that that is real value for your customers, then you're not thinking about sales the right way. If you are in customer success and you are terrified of people selling to your customers, you're thinking about it wrong. So in this case, I'm going to tell you, you've got to get to a place where you can understand that if you are strategic with your customers and understand that there is a pain you can solve with your product and timing that correctly and generating those leads, that is where there is real value for customer success, sales, and your customer. Again, you've got to answer that question. So these are the 3 programs I'm going to tell you for sales that we have orchestrated, originated in customer success, orchestrated with sales, and again, checked all those boxes, right? It served sales well because we help them close more business and sales team loves that. We're building advocates. Hopefully we're finding some way to benefit our customers by being references, by being referrals, find ways to reward those individuals, and then obviously designing a qualified leads program. So these are the 3 programs I'm going to tell you. If CS can start to focus on these to build this out, it's also going to save you guys a lot of time and heartache. I promise you, the worst thing in the world is having a salesperson end of month, end of quarter say, we need more leads, or I need somebody who could be a reference, or we've got to hit this target and I don't know where else to start to focus on selling. And so they do this like spray and pray, right? Where they're reaching out to all of your customers and it's not methodical. If you're doing these types of things and it originates in CS, customer success regains control. And I know that all of us are control freaks, or at least I am. And so when we regain control, we're orchestrating it thoughtfully to benefit our customers first, and then all of our internal teams second. So everyone wins. Now let's talk about partnering with product and engineering. So this, again, should be a little obvious. Maybe you're doing these types of things. If you're not, things to consider. The first one I'm going to talk about is beta programs. So here at ClientSuccess, and again, at other organizations I've been a part of, beta programs are some of my customers' favorite things to be a part of, especially if we're beta testing something that was their idea. But beta programs are a great way for you to partner product with your customers directly. Now, in many cases, you may have an organization that almost forbids it. Gosh, we would never put product or engineering people in front of our customers. Gosh, why would we do that? They don't want to have those conversations. We don't know what they're going to say. You guys got to get over that too. We have to really let go of some of our fears, these intrinsic fears that we have. Beta programs are awesome. If you have customers who are opted into this, it's a win. So one of the things that we've done very strategically is to create some custom fields where we can track customers who are interested in beta programs. So we start there. Is this something that you would like to be a part of? If product presents itself, something interesting, relevant to you, are you willing and able to be part of a beta program? Now, you have to remember, beta programs are a two-way street. It's not just your customers getting early access to product. The expectation there is that they are giving your product organization feedback early and often. There should be a well-orchestrated two-way communication, as well as some timelines and milestones as part of that program. So please, if you are not doing that with your beta programs and you're just giving customers early access, you're doing it wrong. Beta programs should be very well thought out. I'm happy to do a boot camp on that in a future time and place. But beta programs should be really, really well thought out, because again, you don't want your customers to have a poor experience, and you want to make sure that the product team is getting the benefit of why we're even doing this to begin with. So what we've done is we've created a tracking mechanism to say these customers are interested in beta programs. Then what we've done is we make sure that we are tracking the products that our customers have access to, or products that they've expressed interest in. In ClientSuccess, we actually have something that we have, it's a newer product for us called Product Signals, which allows us to understand what are the product requests coming from our customers. And so we track that. So therefore, when we get to a place where those product requests actually come to fruition, we know exactly who to reach out to for betas, because that was probably a request that came from this customer and they're going to be so eager to get their little hands on it, right? So being able to, again, correlate who are the best people to reach out to, because again, you need time and buy-in to participate in a beta. You need to make sure that the product that you're asking them to beta is relevant to them, and they're going to be able to provide thoughtful feedback. It shouldn't just be your biggest customers, guys, because at the end of the day, they're not always the best. and then be able to have a program that you're orchestrating. Again, it originates with CS, but you're facilitating that collaboration with your product team. The next thing I have on here is a product advisory board. This is different than a customer advisory board. I have to emphasize that. I did do a boot camp on CABs and PABs in the past. You can definitely go re-reference that. But customer advisory boards, different than a product advisory board. Your product advisory board, this is likely going to be folks that are admins. They are heavy users of your solution. A customer advisory board, on the flip side, they might be senior executives, right? That they're visionaries, they are strategic, they are not in your product every day, but they understand where the market is moving. And so you want to have an open dialogue with them because part of the growth of the partnership. Product advisory board, these folks are ones that are in the product all the time. They probably know your product better than your product team does. They know all the nooks and crannies, all the good and bad, and they're going to be wanting to be pulled into that roadmap design and that evolution. And so this, again, can originate with customer success in strong collaboration with product because you're building out a cohort of customers. I say 10 or less is always my sweet spot. I do not like a lot of people in an advisory board, too many opinions, gets messy. So figure out who are the best customers, who are your strongest adopters, who are the ones that submit the most feature requests, who are the ones that challenge your solution to do really cool and innovative things, who are the folks that are thinking differently about their industry. If you are in customer success, start to track them. Then start to design this product advisory board, right? It could be a year-long board where you have these 10 people, they're part of it. They're meeting with your product team once a quarter. They're looking at the roadmap. They're giving feedback. These folks might also just automatically be part of your beta programs. This program, again, can have strategic impact on your product, therefore sales, growth, adoption, right? There's so many ancillary benefits if you are getting your customers, that voice of the customer, to be heard very strategically in a program like a product advisory board in direct correlation with product and engineering. The last one here is product request management. I don't know about you, but as a CSM, my whole existence has been capturing product requests from customers. Everyone has a billion ideas. They're all great. They're all valid. It's just how do you prioritize them all? If you are in customer success, and today what you are doing is capturing that and punting it over to product and then getting mad because we're not building it fast enough, you're doing it wrong. Guys, this is only creating friction between you and this really pivotal team. So you've got to think about how you're orchestrating a product request flow. So again, I mentioned that we've got a new product in ClientSuccess. It's currently in beta. It's called Product Signals. It allows us to track all of the feature requests for all of our customers, attribute it to ARR, start to understand where that direct correlation is. It is super, super cool. But what this does is it actually gives us holistic visibility into our customer base, our entire customer base, the requests that are coming in, and allows product to kind of lean in and help us figure out where to prioritize. It's not like some of these other solutions where it's just like a voting, right? It's like, yes, everyone wants to give a thumbs up to every single product request. And now you've got 1,000 product requests that everyone's given a thumbs up to and a billion comments, but it doesn't help you prioritize. It doesn't help you understand the direct correlation to impact. So when I think about a product request management program, it's something that is more strategic and it's well managed to help your product and engineering teams understand where and how to prioritize. That is like literally the billion-dollar question for so many teams. And if you can have a customer success team start to grab hold of that program and start to think through the best way to facilitate the collaboration between product, these requests, and our customers, it will help drive the business forward. So that would be the third initiative that I would say definitely worth evaluating and seeing if that's something that you and your team can take on. I'm watching the clock, guys. I know I've got less than 10 minutes for Q&A. I promise I'll go quick. So last one here is with technical support. So I am sure, like all of you, we do not have endless funds to keep staffing our team. And there are days and weeks that technical support requests are higher than others, right? Something goes wrong, something happens, new product is released, oops, something was missed in QA, and so all of a sudden it's created this weird experience. We know that this happens. I know this is not unique to me. I know that we're all experiencing this. So what are some programs that you can deploy to help facilitate, again, a better experience for your customers? First, office hours. I talked about this in cross-functional programs, I think, in our last series for Q1. What are some of the scaled programs that we rolled out? But this one in particular has been a huge help for us here at ClientSuccess. What we've done is we've allocated one of our more technical associates in our support organization to allocate some percentage of their time each week where they are actually allowing customers to proactively book time with them to answer questions, tackle tickets, work with them, troubleshoot, give updates, facilitate communication. This has actually helped to reduce the amount of exchanges on tickets. It's helped to create a better experience for our customers. It makes sure that communication is more seamless across the board. So this is something that a lot of folks should be thinking about, is how can we facilitate something like this? I've seen folks that have put these office hours into like have it open so that any customer can kind of jump in and ask questions. That works in some organizations. For us, because most of the time we're getting into an individual customer's tenant, their own experience with client success, we want to create those as private sessions. So I've seen it done both ways. I think there's pros and cons for both, but how can you use office hours to reduce ticket volume and exchanges and create a better experience? Customer success can help facilitate that. Training webinars. If you go through and analyze all of your support tickets, I guarantee you a percentage, I don't know what percentage, but a percentage of those is probably based on your customers not knowing how to best use your product. And so at Client Success, we have deployed our masterclass webinar series, which is basically a bi-weekly webinar program designed for end users to help them understand how to use different parts of the product. Now, in many cases, we do a train the trainer approach. I know many of you probably do the same. You're working with admins, specific parts of the organization, and you're training them, right? They're going through onboarding. That's your primary point of contact. But we cannot rely solely on them to be able to train and enable all end users, because guess what? You're trying to do onboarding in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, even 12 weeks. But if you think about it, it takes somebody a long time and a lot of usage to really know the ins and outs of your product. So we have stopped relying on the train the trainer approach and started to introduce these training webinars, which again is helping to bring down ticket volume with support. We're starting to increase adoption for our customers, again, creating this better experience for them. End users, when their usage and approval goes up, so does retention. There is a direct correlation. Lastly is content production. Guys, I cannot stress this enough, but if everyone in your business is not producing content, you're doing it wrong. I have my entire organization creating content. If it's support, they're creating content. Customer success, we're creating content. Marketing, creating content. Sales, creating content. Product, creating content. All parts of your business should be creating content because content scales. And people love content in all different ways, right? Short form video, long form video, webinars. This is content that we're producing today, right? This will then stay on demand. People can reference it. You've got to be able to create content. So we've been focusing on, in customer success, understanding, we've been evaluating tickets. What are the themes? What's coming out of them? And creating unique content to help facilitate better learning experiences for our customers, better knowledge bases for our customers, short form video. We're using Scribe to help with all of that. So that is the third way that we are using customer success as the hub to really help with our technical support teams. Now, bringing that collaboration full circle, everyone is winning there, specifically our customers. So again, great program to think about that can originate with customer success. So before you proceed, I'm going to give you some advice. 1, determine what the current business needs are and objectives, and then choose your programs. Please do not say, this is super cool. How do I fit this square peg into a round hole? Work the other way backwards, right? If your goals are clear to you all, you should know what the business needs are. Figure out what programs best suit that. Being able to articulate the value for your cross-functional teams. Guys, you have to be able to pitch it. Think of yourself as a salesperson. We're all in sales, whether you like it or not. So you've got to sell the benefits to these teams to get that buy-in and that collaboration. And I promise you, once you start to broker that discussion, everyone gets excited. I have not had a program that I have pitched fall so flat that people didn't want to support it. Most of the time, everyone's excited. We're just trying to figure out the nuances of how. How is always the tricky part. But getting that initial buy-in, that's the momentum that you need in order to start to drive change. Then lastly, you've got to have a way to track this. Again, I'm going to stress this every time we talk. Have the appropriate KPIs. Find a way to understand how this will benefit everybody. And you guys have to track it. There has to be visibility that exists. It can't be, we know what the KPI is. You have to have a mechanism, a reporting mechanism to track this, because you need to be able to show the impact of your efforts. This is to be said for anything you do. So everything you do should have a way to track it. So I love to leave you guys with a few takeaways. First, start with one program at a time. It's just too much if you're starting to do one even of each. Pick a team, pick a goal, a business objective. What is one initiative that you can do to facilitate the, again, lagging indicator of what's going to help with retention, what's going to help with growth, what's going to help with advocacy. Pick a program. Pick a program that directly correlates with your business OKRs, your business objectives. Figure out what those are. Pick one. Start small and test the impact of each initiative. Please, before you start going to design mode, which is very easy for all of us, we get excited, we run away with ideas. You have to be able to just test something. So create a small tranche of customers or a small initiative and say, listen, we're going to test this with 5 customers, 10 customers. We're going to start with 1 AE and 1 CSM. Start small and test it. So then you can start to talk about the impact and then sell it. I guarantee you, when you have data to support it, everyone gets that much more excited. 3 is make sure it is clear who benefits and how. I'm telling you, that is like the biggest thing. Nobody wants to give you their time if it does not benefit them. Everyone has a laundry list of things that they've got to get to, so please be clear on that. Number 4, design a program and make sure to get feedback from the other teams. Now, I've said all of these programs have originated in customer success, which means we are likely designing it. But please, whatever you do, do not design it in a vacuum and then go to roll it out. Design it and then collaborate. Get some feedback from those teams. Figure out what'll work, what won't work, why, right? Have open dialogue, because guess what? People want change to happen with them, not to them. So bring them into that design process and then roll it out. Lastly, measure everything. This is my final statement on everything. Please, 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 if you want to understand the impact it's having on your lead funnel, on sales, on product adoption, ticket volume, experience, you've got to find a way to track all these. Please pull together some KPIs that make sense. Now, I know, guys, I've left us 1 minute to do Q&A. The good news is we only have, I think, 1 or 2 questions. So I'm gonna try to work my magic here. Okay, so we've got 1 question. What about having a customer to advocate or recommend their experience in an industry event? Is this one for sales or marketing or both? Honestly, it can benefit all of them, right? It's just, who do you want to collaborate with on it? Because yes, if it benefits marketing, it benefits sales as well, because right, we're thinking top of funnel. So if you are creating a program here around bringing advocacy to the forefront, and you're saying we're going to work with them on success stories or even referrals or reference programs, all those things can actually cross over teams. And so don't feel so focused on only finding programs and directly correlating it to one team. You might have a program that is really well thought out that actually touches multiple cross-functional groups. Just make sure that you understand how it benefits everybody, and you're doing what I said about getting that buy-in and making sure that you've got very clear KPIs. All right, guys, that said, that was our last question. I did just get a question in. Guys, I'm not going to be able to answer it because we are at time, because I talk too much. I apologize. Lots of great content, though. There's so much that we can unpack in all of the things that I've just covered today. It's given me a lot of idea for future boot camps. But that said, today is the last of our Q2 bootcamp series. So for those of you who have been along for each of the weeks, I just want to start by thanking you so much for giving me your time, your attention. I hope that you have found value in some of these conversations and these sessions. That is my goal at the end of all of these. We're going to come back in Q3, so it'll be the second month in Q3, with a whole new bootcamp series, all new topics that we will tackle together. So hopefully you will come back and join us. If you've liked and enjoyed these bootcamps, I hope that you will tell a friend. We love to see new names and new faces pop up. So please share this content with folks that you know that would benefit from it. Again, hopefully you found value in our conversations over the course of the past 4 weeks. But thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk again soon.